like your
I
bachelor's
mean,
degree.
I know it's a little different because it's COVID, but it's still a crazy statistic. I think it was something like 60% of young adults still live with their parents or something like that. And that young adult is like from the 18 to 25 or 26 or 20, some threshold, like some really wide threshold, which
Yeah,
is crazy. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about housing prices or pay? Which is, I feel
and
like it's
not
mostly
even that.
housing price or the price cost of living. Which
There's
is
that,
crazy
but I
that
will
there are
also
people who
blame
can't
the
afford
parent.
it.
Let's be real. Like
I don't
our
know.
parents have a part to play, and would not all, but generally speaking, because if we're being honest, as time went on, I mean, yeah, kids like have gotten like more like less of what they used to be. But if you look at like the parenting styles also, especially within our generation, when
I
we were
don't know.
younger, our
I
like
wouldn't
parents
put that on the parents because the parents can
no,
help the
the
cost of
parents have
living
a
rising,
factor. I mean, they can't
or
help the
like
cost
that
of
you need
living.
more specialized professions.
Like the
Because
parents,
the
like
reason why
yeah,
people
they
have to
don't
go to
control
college is
that.
because you can't get a job without a degree. Well, a high-paying job without a degree,
They
and
can't
then
control that.
you
However,
can't
like I said,
pay for college with
at
a
19,
low-skilled job.
at
So you
19
need
to
that
20
help.
to 21, I was getting paid $20 an hour. I was bringing home, and then like that's just like that was just my
Yeah, but
hourly.
that $20 an hour, would that pay for all 4 years of college without debt? No,
Hold on.
no way,
No, give me
no
one
way.
second. Give me 1 second. And that was not included in my bonuses. Now, I'm not talking about college, but there are people that, and like there are jobs. I don't know if you know this, but there are jobs. Like my job was one of them. They blocked OD's website, so there was just no way I could do my work at school. And I needed my sleep. I'm not somebody that can get low sleep and be okay. I mean, I am, but not with school. I hate school as it is. But my job was one of those jobs where like if you're going to school, they will not only accommodate your schedule, but they will also do tuition reimbursement. So whether a financial aid pays for it or you pay for it, they will actually pay that money back to you or back to the school or whoever like paid it. So therefore you like
Is it
you can work
after
and go to
you
school.
graduated, or is it while
No,
you're doing the
semester
classes?
and semester. And there are a lot of jobs that actually have the tuition reimbursement
And you could pay for
in
your own
state.
apartment without any struggle?
I mean, everybody's going to struggle unless you're
So,
just like completely
that's the
wealthy.
problem
But
then.
no, but here's my thing. What I said is on the parents. What I meant is a lot of parents also tell their children, school is your job. You don't need to work while you're in school. School is your job. They're like my brother, how old is he? He's 10 years older than me. So he turns 24 this year. I mean, 34, I'm sorry. He turns 34 this year. He was working 2 part-time jobs, living on his own, and going to college and paying for it all. You know what I mean? Like as long as when you're a young adult,
But
unless you get
isn't
like
that
well
still
into
the
your
problem?
20s.
That whole problem that
No, the
you
problem is
have
young
to
kids living at
do
home.
more.
I'm talking about young kids living at home with their parents, like well into their like 20s. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that isn't that still the same problem? Like if you to not live with your parents, you have to do two part-time jobs, go to college, and like whatever the other thing was. All this at the same time, just so you don't have to like, live with your parents. What does that tell you about how the cost of living has increased
I mean,
in
yeah, the cost
for
of
our
living has
generation?
increased.
Because
The cost of living
before
has
you
increased.
wouldn't have to
Increased. I
have
will agree
two
to that.
jobs, go to college, pay apartment, blah 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 blah, just so you can live outside of your parents' house.
Yeah, the
Before
cost of
you
living
could
has
just
increased. I
walk
will
out,
agree to
go,
that.
oh, maybe I'll work for a mining company. Oh, maybe I'll work for the bank across the street. Maybe I'll do this, and I can pay for a house in
Yeah.
five
Now
five years.
I'm agreeing with you.
That's
I'm not
impossible to
disagreeing.
happen nowadays.
I'm not
Impossible.
disagreeing with the cost of living hasn't increased, but you also have to admit our productivity as our generation, our productivity as far as like going out and working, that has significantly decreased
I
because a
don't
lot of
believe
us,
that. I don't
no,
believe that
and I'm gonna
at
tell
all.
you why. And there's actually a statistic about it. I read
I would
it,
have to
and
see that
after this,
statistic
I will send it to
because I
you
read some
because I have to find it
conflicting
again.
ones.
And a lot of our generation, what do a lot of us want to do? We want to be content creators. We want to be socialites.
No,
We
no,
want to
no, no.
work
I
from
don't
home.
think I don't think that's
No,
true at
that is
all.
true. That is
That
true.
is not
And
true at
our
all.
generation, the generation below us, that
No,
is what
no,
a
no,
lot
no.
of us
Now,
wants to do. Why
there
do you
are a
think there are
lot
so
of
many like
middle
wannabe rappers?
schoolers or whatever.
A
When
lot
you
of
ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. Yeah, when I was in middle school, I wanted to be an astronomer. Am I an
yeah, but
astronomer now?
Jabari,
No.
you have to look. You have
So
to
it's like
not look
that.
at you
That's a useless,
specifically.
like,
You have to not look at you specifically, but like look at literally our generation. A lot of what our generation aspires to be, we aspire to be like
yeah, but
millionaires
you
or
could say
extremely
that about
wealthy.
people back then too. People
But
wanted to
people
be
back
celebrities
then,
back then. They
they
wanted to be
wanted to
movie
be
actors.
celebrities
How
back
many
then,
people
but
moved
not.
to California when Hollywood started so they could become Hollywood actors?
Yeah, that is
That
true.
never
But
changed.
also the
Becoming a
people that
celebrity
could,
never changed.
that's when people had the like, well, not that's when, but those are the people that actually had the means or said, I'm just going to take all my shit and go there. But then like
No,
the
no, no.
vast
But the
majority
thing
of them,
is, back
no, hey,
then,
listen
you
to me.
could take all your things and go
Jabari, I listen to
because
you.
if you messed up, you could still pay for your like you could easily pay for your housing or food or well, food is easy to pay, but housing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. One, food is not easy to pay for because you can spend. I spend $200 on groceries. What
Yeah,
the
that's
fuck is
groceries.
that?
That's my car. Turn it on.
God dang. But
He's
anyways,
speeding
what
up.
I'm saying is back then, yeah, the cost of living has increased, but also back then, our parents and our parents before them and our parents before them, they were working at age like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, because you could. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I
because you
think you're
could.
like you're
And
you're
then
jumping over. Back
no, no,
then,
no, no, no.
if
Because
you
kids
worked at
now,
McDonald's, you could still buy an apartment and
yes,
be
I understand
well.
the cost of living has
Now,
increased,
if
but
you worked at
Jabari, if
McDonald's,
you take a
you could
survey,
barely pay for an apartment and
Jabari,
food
actually, how about
alone.
this? How about this? On because you have like more people added on socials than I do. On your
No,
socials
no,
after
no, not
this,
as much.
I want like, or even on Reddit, I would want to do this on Reddit also. If you take a poll and ask people, and like say, if you're between the ages of, like, put our age group for example, then say, did your parents, yes or no, did your parents tell you while you were in school you did not have to work while you were in
No,
school?
but the thing is
A lot of
that
them will
even
say
that is a
yes.
lot. No, I even that is false because a
How is
lot of
it
people
false?
in college do work study to help pay for college.
That's why they're
So
in
unless you
college.
don't count that as a
I'm
job,
not talking. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people in high school. The reason I say it's partially the parents' fault is because while people are in high school, while they're younger, their parents, they don't put that work ethic in them or allow them to go out there to get a job to
but there
develop a
are a
work
fair
ethic.
amount of high schoolers who have a job.
There are a
A
fair amount,
fair
but the
amount.
vast majority of them don't have
Back
jobs.
then, a vast majority did not have jobs.
Yes, they
It's
did.
just
They
that
would
when
always
they
get leave
graduated
school
from high
to
school,
go
they
work.
could get a job
They would
easily.
always they would be working at McDonald's, and then after they
No,
left
no,
high
no,
school,
no,
they
no,
would go
no,
out and
no,
get
no,
more.
no, no.
Jabari, we
No,
can do
no, no,
studies.
no,
I
no,
don't
no.
mind. Oh
You
wait,
can look at the
I forgot.
statistics even
Hold on.
now. No, no. You can look at
One
the
I
statistics
will.
even now.
But one thing I did forget, Jabari.
Most of
One thing I
fast food
forgot.
workers
We
are
were
high
supposed to do
schoolers.
another study. I just remember this. Something about Neanderthals. I
Yeah,
just
but
thought of this.
still, most of the fast food industry workers nowadays are high schoolers. Most of the low income, like those type of low income jobs, if you don't count Walmart, are high schoolers. So that's why what you're saying is false. Like Dairy Queen workers, most of them, if you look at the worker stats or whatever, most of them are high schoolers. If you look at McDonald's, most of them are high schoolers. Chick-fil-A, most of them are high schoolers. So that's
No,
why
most
that
of them are
that
high schoolers and college students because there are a lot of people that have
yes,
college
and college
degrees
students
that are
because
still
now
working there. I'm
college
not talking
isn't
about
as
college.
expensive
I'm not
as
talking about
everything
college because
else.
they're
So
already
now
in
college
the
students
adult
also
world.
have to do that.
I'm not talking about in the I'm not talking about in the adult world. I'm talking about when they are younger,
Yeah,
when
but
they can first
no,
start
but
working.
what you're jumping over is that if college students also have to work at these low income jobs because they can't get any other to help pay for college, that means there are less jobs for the high schoolers to take.
No, they
That means it's
can
a
get
more
more. They
competitive.
don't want to work. A lot of college students, they don't want to work full time just to pay for college. They want to work part time. Because
Yeah, you
everybody
want
now
to, but not everyone can.
in our age range, they everybody wants a work life social balance.
Yes, that's
Yes,
human nature.
and back then there was no work life social balance. It was either
But
you
there
worked
was.
or you.
But there was.
Okay, so right. Let me ask you this: What do you consider CNBC as a credible source?
I guess so.
Okay, because I just typed
Unless
in
it's
our
an
teenagers
opinion
today.
piece.
I said our teenagers today working more than back then, and then this was as far as 2019
It's
personal
an
finance
opinion
part.
piece.
I just pulled it up. Um, I'd have to send it to you, and then we can talk about it. But the headline is why so few teenagers have jobs anymore, and it's saying that the share of teens participating in the labor force sank from roughly one half to one third of the population, a decrease of 17% since 2000. Yet kids today are not slacking off; they're working harder in school and have less free time as kids back then. So they're working, like I said, a lot of parents
So I
tell their
don't see what the
kids.
problem is.
I'm telling you, listen, a lot of parents tell their kids that school is their job. So they don't put that work ethic in them. So when they graduate college,
So you
they
don't
are
do you
still
not
working
count
that part-time
if
job.
you're studying or if you're like doing whatever these whatever they count as doing extra uh, studying or whatever they say that quote. If you don't count that as work ethic, then what do you count as work ethic? If me picking up a pickaxe and hitting a stone is work ethic, but me being in high school, a high schooler, going through a textbook for 5 hours or whatever, if that's what they count as more studying.
There's a difference between a work ethic in the workforce and a work ethic in school.
That's like me saying there's a difference between a person who does manual labor and a person who is, say, a engineer or someone who is a finance officer or someone who is a marketer. It's all work. It's all hard. That's
okay, Jabari.
It's all work.
Now listen to
Just
this.
because
listen
one
to this. You
requires,
said
say, a strength before we continue going on. It's still hard work.
Before we continue going on, at the beginning of this conversation, because you have to keep in mind you feigned ignorance because you did not work or you haven't worked that many. How many have you worked a job before?
But it's like me saying, have you studied as hard as I have?
Literally, that's what I'm about to say.
What you're doing isn't hard work.
No. You made a perfect point. You made a perfect point because have I studied harder or as hard as you? Have I studied in school? No, but as far as work is considered,
so that's like me saying that you're a lazy person.
I'm a lazy person when as a student, but you forget what I said before.
That's the difference. You can be lazy as this, or you can be lazy as that. You could be hardworking as this, or you can be hardworking as that. There's that or. You can just because there's an or doesn't mean that either or is worse or better.
But Jabari,
like
if you studying as hard, no, listen. If you're studying as hard as you did, if you studied as hard as you did, not only in school, but also at home, taking that time to study,
let's just say,
do you have time to work that much to build that strong work ethic? No, because you're spending more time studying and less time actually working.
But
so there's a difference.
If you're counting work ethic as only being you're picking up a pickaxe and hitting a stone, let's just say that is a job that I could have got, is being a miner. And you're saying that if I did that, I would have more work ethic than if I would have just hunkered down and studied. That doesn't make any sense. Because
repeat what you said again?
If, let's say, my two options, let's just say in a hypothetical universe, my two options for 8 hours a day, I could read a book for the classes, or I could pick up a pickaxe and hit the stones. And if you're saying that only hitting those stones, picking up the pickaxe and hitting the stones as a miner and getting that paycheck, that's the only way to get work ethic, then I think that's foolish because it just doesn't make any sense.
Here's why I say it's not foolish. Because you can work hard in school. You know what I mean? You can study hard. And I'm not discrediting anybody that does one or the other, or either or none of the case. I'm not discrediting anybody. But what I'm saying is there are students who spend more time putting more effect or more work into studies, right? And more time studying and having a strong work and study ethic when it comes to school. And then let's say the other option is getting a job as a miner. Using your examples, them taking all that time to study, they're automatically going to go to that miner job, right? And they're going to say, I went to school for this. Their work ethic is going to drop.
Here's
the thing.
Here's what I would say to that.
Jabari, I'm going to let you go.
No, but listen for a second. If I was studying, let's just say I was studying marketing, and then I picked up a job as a miner, then that means that work was useless. You study and do this stuff so you could train yourself for the job that you are studying for.
Yes, and you're assuming that a lot of
a miner.
You're assuming that a lot of people coming out of school will automatically jump into their field
as a marketer, not as a miner.
You're assuming that as soon as you come out of school, you're going to jump into the job that you majored in. But a lot of college majors, Jabari, here's the thing.
No. A lot of college majors who pick jobs that aren't competitive jobs don't pick it. Like if I'm studying philosophy, of course, I'm not going to find a philosophy job. If I'm studying nursing, chances are when I get out of college, I'm going to find a nursing job because
you're going to find a nursing job if you do. Here's the thing. It's contingent on a lot of things.
And if I didn't study hard as a nurse, then I won't work hard as a nurse because that means I learned nothing in my studies.
Listen here, Jabari.
Learn how to train myself for
I both
nursing.
went to school and I also worked. And not only did I work with a lot of people.
Did you work for what you studied in school? Did you work as what you studied in school?
I used what I learned in school.
No.
Listen.
If you worked as what
you know I dropped out of college. Out of college. But
that's my point. Is that
here's the thing. I'm not just
let's
Jabari.
Just say you
stop listening to react and listen to understand.
No, what I'm saying is that
I
you're
know what you're
confusing
saying. I'm
that
not
the
confusing because
version
I'm
of
not using just my experiences. I was trying to say it, but then you cut me off. I also work with a lot of people that have degrees in marketing, business, like marketing is a subsidiary in
yes,
business,
but the thing
marketing,
is,
business, and then also IT and also
but
engineering. If
look,
they
but you
do, if
just
you
you just
don't,
said two majors that aren't competitive majors. They're kind of like no offense to marketing and business majors, but those are generic majors that kind of get you a office job at any place. It's just a bachelor's degree just to have a bachelor's degree in a way, unless you really, really hunker down on your work. Like if you were a BC student for marketing, you might have a difficult time finding a marketing job if you're not in an area where they really, really hire marketing majors or business. Business is like super generic, but still.
and
But
primarily also if you do internships, that's the thing. So
no. It
even if,
depends. It depends on your type of major.
but here's the thing,
It
you're
depends on how
like, I know you're
competitive your
not bad.
major
I know
is.
you're not. I know you're not bashing marketing majors and business majors because I don't want other people to think that you are. But I actually have a friend who majored in marketing. Right. This
Yeah.
friend did not do any internships in school, but he was an A B student, mainly A's. B is towards his last semester, but A B student. But he did not do
Mm-hmm.
an internship. His classmates, they were either B C students or A B students like him, or all A students, and they did internships. This friend who did not do an internship is the only one out of all of them that does not have a job or a career
But that's the
in
thing.
marketing.
Like, but that's the
So that's
compare.
what I
The
said.
but your BC student versus an AB student technically is not as big of a gap. But it's a BC student with an internship that makes them competitive. But a full blown 4.0 marketing major might be as competitive as the internship BC student. That's the thing. So it's
Um,
like the only reason the internship wasn't as worth it, like, or was like the biggest difference between him and those other students was because like that whole thing I said where a B student versus a BC student is not that big of a gap, but a BC student with the internship versus an AB student is a huge gap.
yes, I get that. And mind you, so to go back to work ethic, like I said, he was an AB student. His work ethic in school was impeccable. I've never seen you actually work outside of high school. And in high school, we were all just goofing around. At least the classes you and I had, you and I personally were goofing around.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen your work ethic as a student, but I assume it's very strong. This friend of mine, AB student, his work ethic was extremely strong. And now when it comes to actually working, he has, if unless he can for sure get a job as what he wants to, he even admitted that his work ethic is not going to be that strong, only because it's simply the fact that he does not, what he got does not match up to what he wants.
But
So
isn't
that's why I
that
was
more
saying
of a
work
personal
ethic.
thing? That's not really like
Hold on.
a
But
version
that's what I'm
between.
saying.
That's
So
more
you
of a
can, let me say this.
personality aspect.
So allow me to like recant my, not recant, but allow me to rephrase my statement. Unless you're doing what you want to do, you're not going to have, and if you have,
I
let me say
don't know
this,
about that. Like
unless
that
I do,
again, that's a
because I worked with
personality thing.
many people
No,
of
but that's
different
a person
backgrounds.
like okay, for example, me. Let's say I studied computer science. That's what I wanted to do, but everything messed up, and instead I became a worker for like just a regular office worker, and uh I just type freaking finance some I don't know what is an
Mm-hmm.
example of like a but you know I do some type of boring work
Yeah.
because of my personality. I would want to do work as hard as I can. Well, not like I wouldn't want to be like slacking on the job, but some people they could be the smartest person in the world and they have the worst work ethic. The smartest person in the world have amazing work ethic. There could be someone who's the worst work ethic person in the world, but they're super. Who's the best work ethic person in the world, and they're super dumb, or something.
So
Like
Jabari,
I
let me
feel
ask
like
you
that's
this
a
question.
personality thing. That's like
Let me
it's
ask you a
not as
question.
much about whether you did it or not. It's more like how did your parents teach you to have what's the word? Not passion in your work, but you know, to be
Have pride in it.
responsible. Yeah, have pride in what you do.
That's what
You
I'm
don't
saying.
need
And
to
a lot of
work to do
parents,
have that.
here's the thing. So let me ask you a question. When we were in high school, if you look at like the vast majority, like not even the vast majority, if you look at everybody, like all the students that you were around, like not just your friend group, but all
Yeah.
like kids, like I don't want to name drop, so I would text them. Like, let me just text you a few, just so you can get an idea if you know these people. But those just to name a few. And then there are people like,
Oh,
hold on. Then there are people like this.
okay. Wait, are you saying they're equal in like
I don't know
because
how to
that
spell his
second
name.
person I don't see the connection with the first person.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like I'm saying like don't just look at one sect of people. I gave you like a variety of people, and I don't know how to spell the second person's name in the second message I sent you. So
Okay, but I get what you mean.
okay, so just like if we're taking a general assessment of those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because this is how studies are done, they can't say I know this person specifically, so they're going to be like this. They take
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
wide group of people. So I just look at a wide group of people. Generally speaking, out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of those 7 people, if they were doing something they didn't want to do, didn't they slack off and not perform their best?
But that again,
No,
that has nothing that had nothing to do with rather they worked hard or if they studied hard or if they had a job or if they ever,
no, it does because I can tell you
no,
this:
because
the
they would
first
have been
one,
like that
no,
either way.
no,
If
that's
they
what I'm.
didn't have good work, you need good work ethic to do things in general. Like if you're going to like you can have good work ethic and then not want to do something. That's having pride in your work. There's a difference between pride in your work and work ethic. Some people will be like, no matter what I'm doing, I want to do the best I can do. Even if it's something I don't want to do, I'm doing it, so I want to be the best at. I want to be, have a good job doing it. But some people are like, I only want to do well in stuff that I want to do. If it's not something I want to do, then I don't care. I'm not going to give it my all.
Okay, so
That's
let me talk
completely
about
different
these.
from work
Let
ethic.
me
You
talk
can
about
have
these
good
people
work ethic and
specifically
be that
because
second
you
person.
brought up a good point, and like I said, parents have a part to play in this, and I'm going to prove to you why. So you know the first person in the first message, right?
Yeah.
Parents, like so he was a football player, right?
Yep.
That's all he cared about, and that's all his parents ever harped on him for. You saw him as a student, and like I hung out with him, I knew him. That's all his parents like talked about. Get a scholarship, work hard in football, do whatever. His parents, they didn't say do good in school, do this, this, and this. If you're a good football player and your grades are decent, then you're good. So you can slack off in school, but be a beast on the field. The second person, she was a cheerleader, and academically she did. Yeah, she was. She was a
I didn't know
cheerleader.
that.
I think so. And academically, she did pretty well. So with that being said, and let's take her ethnicity into effect. So she's obviously was a good student, right?
Huh? What do you mean her
Like,
ethnicity? Was she not what the average of her school was?
no, she
Or
was.
was she
So like,
something else? Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Okay.
yeah. So of course, good grades, do the best in school, things like that was pushed on her. And then I do like, so I don't know her personally, but one of my old friends, one of my old closest friends, like talked to her and hung out with her a lot. And he went over her house and said that her parents did extremely well work wise, and they were like high performers in school. So obviously, she's going to be a high performer and have a natural, I don't want to say natural inclination, but her parents kind of pushed her to do the best in what she, no matter what she did. So she's one of those people that you said pride in your work and pride in what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The third person, not the best student, works hard though. She's dating a trapper, or she dated a trapper. Or whatever. But she worked a lot of part-time jobs, saved up a lot of money, had like a strong work ethic. And knowing her family, that's literally what they did, is just work hard. You know, you can do good in school, but no matter what, you have to
what
work
I'm hearing
really, really
is
hard.
that it like you said is based off the parents. Like the parents have something to
That's
blame,
why I said the parent has a part
I don't
to
think
play.
the job part is accurate at all.
No, so that's why I use work ethic. So that's why I try to rephrase it. The reason I brought up all of that and went through all of this is because I wanted to show you originally when I said parents have a part to play and you said no. I did all this to prove to you, because if the parent doesn't like not even show them, like
True.
Parents have to lead by example.
I would
if
say,
they don't lead by example with work ethic and even teach that to them, that you have to like have pride in what you do, and no matter what you do, be the best, then yeah. Now it's not all on the parent.
The original thing was that we were talking about like kid or young adults who are still living with their parents. You can have really great work ethic and still not have enough to move. Like there are some people who are the hardest working people. They might be the hardest working person at McDonald's, but McDonald's is not paying enough. And let's say he didn't have any specializations, so he can't really move out.
So he didn't go to school, right?
Let's say he didn't go to school. Let's say he was just in a situation where he couldn't go to school.
On average, the average McDonald's worker is working 2 to 3 jobs. So they have enough. Like the third person, Miss Shelston, multiple jobs and moved out on her own after high school. Even her best friend did the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying.
I think her best friend was working at Dairy Queen.
You have to get multiple jobs just so you can move out of your parents' house. what does that tell you about the cost of living? Less about the
And like I said,
people,
I never
but
said
more
the cost
about
of
the country.
living isn't
The
a.
country
I
is
never said.
busted if you have to
Yeah,
get multiple jobs just to leave your original house. That's a busted nation right there.
yeah, and
If
like I
you have to
said,
get 3 jobs just so you can leave your house, just to pay for a trash apartment.
like I was saying from the beginning, I'm not disagreeing or saying that the cost of living isn't a factor, but the cost of living has raised, yes, but the productivity of our generation, excuse me, I'd have to like look at more statistics.
Doesn't sound
The
like it.
productivity,
Maybe the productivity went down because people have to get 3 freaking jobs just to leave their house. So they're exhausted. They can
yeah,
barely
and back
function.
then when people were like where the cost of living was more
But what I'm
affordable,
saying is
those people
back
were working
then,
longer
you
hours.
didn't have to do 2 to 3 jobs.
You didn't have
You
to
could
do
have
2 to 3
one
jobs, but
job.
you were working one job, working long ass hours,
No,
like
no,
10
no. But
to
one job
13
and 3
hours.
jobs is completely different. You're
One job to
working
3
one
jobs
job
is
for,
different,
if
yes.
you're working
But if
one
you're
job
working
for
3
15
jobs,
hours or 3 jobs for 4 hours each, that's ridiculous.
yeah, that's the thing. So if let's say if you're working one job 15 hours, you're obviously working full time plus overtime. So you're working an average 60 to 80 hours per week. This is on average. Working 15 hours, on average day, like 10 to 15-hour days, right? So with that being said, let's take 40 hours. Let's just take an average work week. If you're working 3 jobs, that means you're working part time. You're lucky if you're getting 5 hours. So you're working 3 to 5 hours. You can do 2 of those jobs in one day. So that's about 8 hours one day, then one job another day, or 2 jobs another day. No matter how you stack it up, if you're working that one job with the longer hours, you're working more than you were the 3 jobs. So while the 3
But
jobs is like tedious because you're spreading that across your week,
let
that
me
one
give
job
you a
you're working.
hypothetical then.
Okay.
So back in the day, let's say I worked in West Virginia,
Oh, Lord,
or
have mercy.
let's say let's say Detroit or something. Well, let's say West Virginia because that's a funnier example. I'm living in good old West Virginia, no freaking specialization, no skills. Did
Which
okay
was
in high
very common
school,
back then.
but maybe not that well because they didn't have no child left
Or dropped
behind.
out of high
So
school.
yeah, you could just drop out of high school. I'm like, dang, I have no job. And what do? I go, wait a minute, I gotta charge the AirPods. Dang.
That's why, like now, like I don't know if you ever do this, but now. All right, cool.
I guess when I take out the AirPods, it messes up.
Dude, it's technical difficulties all day.
I know.
I think this is the most technical difficulties we've ever had in an episode.
But let's say I'm West Virginia, dropped out of high school. I don't know what to do. What do I do? I'm like, hey,
mine.
What am I going to do? Yeah, and Dad's like, hey, you just go in the mines. So you go work in the mines. You're working a lot. You're working like, 9 to freaking 7, some bullcrap or something like that. And doesn't matter because you're making like $30 an hour. 0 skill job, $30 an hour. Yeah, it's dangerous, but you're making big money for a non-skilled job. Now let's say good old freaking Detroit back in the same amount of time. Again, this is when America's in its prime, which is a reason why this is in its prime. This is why those certain Americans are like, make America great again, because back then America was great because you could do whatever you want. You could get some stupid job and get paid a lot because America's economy was on point. So let's say Detroit, you're like, dang, I just dropped out of high school, I had no job. Hey,
you just sound like a Trump supporter, just so you know.
Yep. So you're like, hey, what should I do? And the dad's like, oh, well, you know what? Just go work in the cars, go to the Chevy factory. I'll get you a job. And then you go work in the Chevy factory. Yeah, you're working 18 hours a day, but you're making like $40 an hour working for Chevy. Now let's skip to good old freaking 2000 and I guess 2004 all the way to 2000 now. And you're like, dang, I just graduated with my GED, got my bachelor's in business, considering getting a master's. A bachelor's won't get me anything. Hey, Dad, what should I do? He's like, who? That's it. That's it. That's all you get. You're just sitting there. You're like, okay, I guess I'll work for McDonald's. Or no. Let's say, what's a pretty okay job? Let's say,
Target or
let's say you
Chick-fil-A.
live in the city too, because more people are living in the city more and more. Let's say, okay, I'll work for the Amazon factory. You get $15 an hour. That's not bad. That's higher than average.
That is
But
bad.
then you're like, dang, what the heck is that noise?
I'm sorry.
So then you work for the freaking Amazon factory, making $15 an hour. You're like, dang, this is just enough to pay for my apartment.
Not even.
You're like, dang, I still need to eat food. I still need to pay my phone bill, insurance, car. So now you get your second job. He's like, oh, dang, this is only $7 an hour. You're like, dang, I can't. This is only for my phone bill. So now you got to get your third job. You're like, dang, now I just have just enough. I cannot imagine. That's why.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Great again. It was easy back then. That's why.
Like here's what I'm saying. So like, the cost of living has gone significantly higher. Yes, and even like
your specialization. You need a specialization. Back then, you could drop out and get a good job.
Well, that's the thing, because like back then, the specialized skills were really trades, and honestly now, like, but that's the thing. Trades are so frowned upon now, was specifically within our generation, and that's what I was trying to say. Is because. Like, that's what I said. Parents have a factor. Cost of living is also a factor, but our productivity is a factor.
Wouldn't you say that the reason why trades aren't seen in a positive light is because trades aren't enjoyed by Americans seen as in a positive light because of how America's like, fallen from its grace of being like, an industrial capital of the world.
I mean, that is true, but honestly, if you want to make 80 grand a year, no problem, become a welder. Pick up a trade. Like, dead ass. You're going to be working, the same amount of hours, about 10 hours.
Dang.
I think, I don't know if it's like,
happened?
I don't know. Oh, shit. I don't know. I'm not even looking outside. But like, I don't know if it's 80 grand.
It's getting windy.
But trades pay really well. But the reason a lot of so our parents work trades, right? Our parents only tell us what they know. Whereas like with us now, a lot of people want to become a YouTuber. A lot of people want to become TikTok stars. The young generation more so than us, but also us also. We want to be socialite. We want to do what we want to do and get paid a lot of money for it. So if we have to work a job that we don't want to.
That's a consequence of America not having as, I don't want to keep saying America's fault because it makes me sound like, like some anti-American kind of thing. But in a way, America's fault because even say it has to, this was a topic I wanted to talk about, but the clown world kind of situation with all the even the markets, everyone's trying to invest in Bitcoin, all this stuff. And it's because people are trying to make money because what they're doing now does not do enough. It's not enough money for a normal person to have a casual life. That's why everyone's trying to find these quick fixes, rather that's Bitcoin, rather that's the stock market, rather that's becoming a freaking social media empire, rather that's freaking TikTok. Everyone's trying to find these quick fix, even kids, because even kids see how trash all these other options are.
I mean, yeah, that is true. Now let me say this. Now, if you want a quick fix, and I'm speaking on this from experience, there is one job that you can do, one profession that you can do, where you can make thousands of dollars, more than $2,000 in a month, guaranteed. It may be $3,000, maybe $4,000, can be as much as $10,000.
What, OnlyFans?
In 1 month. No, for guys specifically, no. Become a car salesman. If you want a quick fix to where you can do whatever you want for a while, and then work part-time jobs to pursue your thing, then what should you do? Become a car salesman, sell as many cars as possible, and honestly, selling cars isn't hard. All you have to do, the car kind of sells itself. You just have to follow.
But isn't that the same as people who are oh, you want to make whatever amount of money? Where do the people become a real estate person?
But here's the thing: a lot of people will tell you. I mean, yeah, but to become a real estate agent, you have to pay for that. You have to pay a few thousand, I believe. You have to pay for a class. But that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, like you said, are looking for that quick fix. I'm if you want that quick fix, then it's out there. But those quick fixes that are illegal, they don't want to do that because that's not cool enough, or it's not,
or
it's
not
as pleasing.
Easy enough. Because say one thing, I mean, this is a freaking completely bloated example, but it's me, I guess, in a way going oh, you want to make an easy $4 million a year? Just become a nuclear engineer, then make your own nuclear business. It's yeah, I mean, that is a way to make that much money a year, but it's difficult. And say with or it's boring because no one wants to study for how many years just to do it. And I guess maybe it's the same with, say, if you go oh, just become a car salesman. Is an actual, easy way to make this much money. I guess maybe some people are oh, that's I don't want to do all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The productivity went down because Like back then, like if we go back to the other example, that dude didn't want to be a minor. He just knew what the option was.
True.
And did did what he had to do. Whereas now, our generation, especially the generation below us, and probably the generations to come for some time, we're not going to do what we want to do. I mean, we're not going to want to do what we have to do. We're going to do what we want to do. And if we don't do what we want to do, then we're going to struggle. And that's why I said it's in part on the parents, because if the parents don't set their kids up for success by teaching them a standard to live by and having and even if like the parents like because of life experiences can't even like show them by example the standard to live by, at least drilling it into them, letting them work at a younger age, seeing like, because if you work at a young age, you're going to see people like in the 50s working at.
I feel
no,
like
hold on.
It seems like a stereotype is that a lot of parents always say like, "Oh, the children these days are blank, blank, blank."
Yeah, and that's what I said. Parents are in part the problem, because
no, but I guess what I meant by that is that it seems like there are a lot of parents who try to say it like, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that, but it happens anyway.
But
and that
saying it and doing something about it is
that if it's going to happen anyway, then that it doesn't seem like it's the parent or the kid. If like, I bet you if the country had a whole campaign, full-blown campaign, where they're like, oh, we need to have more car salesmen. Become a car salesman, you get this, you get benefits, blah, 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 blah. People are going to become car salesmen. It's the same with like the miners or the car industry type people. I bet you there were super incentives to become a car sales, or not car, a factory worker for cars, or to become a miner. Crazy incentives. Rather that's the money, rather that's the benefits, compared to what you are used to or whatever. And I don't think we have those benefits at all. And I'm gonna be honest with you. People are like, "Oh, I don't want to do this at all because it doesn't benefit me."
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, like the country, and like let's use your example, because you made a good example. So, if the country doesn't do that, and the president doesn't do that, and the manufacturers and stuff doesn't do that, who else's responsibility is it to set their kids up for success, or to set the younger generations up for success? The parents.
But so, I feel like the problem is though.
Hold on. You made a good point. The country failed, right?
What counts as success?
Well, that's the thing. It's like success is actually completely
moving outside your house.
Pretty much to sustain your own living.
Okay.
I'm just using a basic generic definition of success because success to me.
Go outside and push this trash can. This trash can's moving. I'm telling you, this wind is crazy. You might hear wind.
Let me step outside. Hold on. Let me step on my patio and see if I can. Oh no, it's good over here in Virginia Beach.
Dang. Ouch.
Yeah, it's good here in Virginia Beach.
Dang.
But yeah, man, like I was saying, so just using the basic definition of success, pretty much being able to sustain your own living. That's not counting the lifestyle you want to live, the kind of cars you have, how many kids you want, just sustaining your own standard of living, right?
Uh-huh.
If the country, and from what we said, the country, as far as like publicizing everything and throwing out the incentives and like displaying the options there, if the country failed and the manufacturers failed and there aren't any campaigns in the public sense, the next line of defense is the parents. And the parents are if the parents are like, just focus on school. Oh, you don't have to worry about working, just focus on school, go to college, you'll get a good job. That's what a lot of parents in our day and age tell their kids. And then the kids go to school, get a degree, and they don't get a good job.
But then I feel like for that problem, because I feel like that.
So, but here's the thing. I'm sorry.
Thinking makes sense because you make more money. Like the high-paying jobs, which is what everyone wants, requires you to have a degree.
Right.
So it makes sense that they would say, just work on your study, and that is your job. Because hypothetically, you work on your study, you study hard enough. Like, so let's say your parent, that kid listened to literally everything, and that studying was their job. They study 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday, and they full-blown study. They got A's. Hypothetically, if they picked the right major, they would make a lot of money. But I feel
that's
like
what I'm saying. There's not much guidance.
A lot of the time, those kids are there are two options. They're either not studying as hard as those parents are saying, like, when they say like, oh, make studying their job. They're not making studying their job. They're making that their hobby or something. They're studying 2 hours a day for the week.
or something like that. Like they're out partying and stuff like during college. So they
Yeah.
don't get the good grades. So they come out with bad grades and then they can't find a job or whatever. Like someone who was super studious or whatever, they were working really hard. They're finding internships. They're doing everything right. But most of these students aren't doing that. So that could be the problem. Or
So like I'm not putting everything on this. Oh, I'm sorry. You can
everything
keep
right,
going.
but they have the wrong major. Like if you're majoring, no offense to these people, but they probably know this themselves because that's more of a passion major kind of thing. But let's say someone who's majoring in art. Like if you're majoring in art, you could be the best, like a highest graded art person. Like you get good grades. You're studying hard with your art history and stuff like that. Do you mind?
Sorry. I didn't know you could hear it.
You could be studying super hard with art and everything and come out and still not have a job because you picked the wrong major. Or even like, let's say someone who's, no offense, I hope they're not listening, but someone who's like a game design major. Like it's a technical degree if you're doing certain type of game design. Like let's say you're doing the coding part of game design.
Right.
It's super technical. It's difficult. It's a super art heavy degree and everything. Like it's almost like you're mixing up all of the specialties because you need art, you need math, you need like English skills, like with storytelling, you need level design, so you need design and all this blah 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 blah. And you have to study for these classes too. Like some of the people I knew who are in game design, they're studying, well, a lot sometimes they're studying pretty hard, some of them, and they could end up leaving college. They had good classes, good grades and everything, and they end up with no job too. It's because they picked the wrong, like that major wasn't a competitive major, or it wasn't a competitive major for this area. Like there are no video game companies in freaking Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Like name a Virginian video game company that you know of. No, they're all in like Canada or Toronto or something. So like maybe being a video game major made sense in Toronto or freaking like California or whatever, France where Ubisoft is. But like for this area, it doesn't make sense. Like that was kind of a wasted degree.
Yeah,
unless you planned on moving. So like it wasn't his fault for work ethic. It wasn't the parents' fault for telling them to make studying their job. It was that choice to pick that major that was the problem at that point.
No, like, okay, so you made a lot of good points. So ultimately, wouldn't you say guidance falls in the parents' realm, right?
Yes.
And the parents should be able to provide their child with as much guidance as they can have, right?
Yes.
But if the parent is stuck in their way and they just did what they did, then let's be real. A lot of parents, they do give advice based off of their success, but they also mainly give advice based off of their failures. Like, don't do this because this can happen. Don't do this. You know what I mean? So when you go to college, you want to make sure you study this, and this, and this. They go for their failures. But the one thing parents fail to tell their kids, and sometimes it's mainly because of emotions as far as they don't want their kids like leaving, but it's like knowing the area that you settle down in as a parent, right? Let's say, for example, you settle down in Virginia and your child says, Dad, I want to be a game designer. I feel I trust you enough to tell your child, because you have enough sense to tell them you're in the wrong area. So go to college in this area and network there. You know what I mean? That's why I say it is in part on the parents, not completely, because I mean, as adults, 18, 19, 20, going throughout college and everything, you should be able to make decisions yourself. But
I feel
again,
like there's that sense of like, I feel like there are two problems though with that one. Is that, well, one problem is a lot of parents do tell their kid to major the right thing, but the kid just doesn't want to. Like,
so that is true.
Thing where parents are like, "Oh, be a doctor," blah 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 blah. But not everyone wants to be a doctor. Not that many people want to study for 16 years or whatever to be a doctor or a surgeon. But then there's the second problem, where it's like, what about the parents who, like maybe they know that the kid's not picking a right choice of a major or something, but it's like, that kid's their own person at that point. Like, you can't, like, if a person really wants to be a game design major in freaking I'm trying to think of the worst country to be a game design major, like where there's just no people to be. He wants to move to the Vatican City and become a game design major. Like, some parents might just be like, you know what? This is what he truly wants to do. Who am I to stop him? He's his own person.
You're going to be the one that's blamed for
like, if you told him, like, oh, son, maybe that's not the best idea. He's like, no, I want to go to the Vatican City and design games.
See, that is true. And like I said, but however, a lot of parents, and that's what I said, it also comes with emotion, because it sounds like I'm putting a lot of stress and emphasis on the parents. That's not the case in point, but until your child is truly like out on their own, this is what I firmly believe. If you're still living in your parents' house, they can still tell you stuff that you need to know. You don't have to listen to it. You know what I mean? But like, let's go with the example of you that you made of, let's say it's a parent that was like, well, if this is what they want to do, I'm not going to stop them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the type of parent my dad is. He's like, I'm not, because whatever you want to do, you're going to do, right? Some parents say, whatever you're going to do, you're going to do, and I'm not going to say anything. My dad, he's from Philly, so he's like, whatever you want to do, you're going to do, but keep this in mind. And with my dad, like phrasing it that way, and the biggest proponent is the kid, is the individual. I will say that the biggest proponent is the individual, and of course, like the cost of living. But the parents also have a responsibility of saying, I know this is what you want to do, but just keep this in mind. Make sure you keep this in mind. But if you like harp on it with the person, like with the kid, they're not going to listen. But we know kids, we're kids. If our parents constantly tell us to do something, we're not going to do it. Whereas if like they actually talk to us and it's not like I'm telling you this sort of thing, it's just like keep this in mind sort of thing, you're more receptive to it. And parents do know that. But ultimately, it does boil down to the cost of living. Well, not only, but it does boil down to the cost of living and your personal choices and your sense of reality. Like, let's say, for example, I really want to move to California, but I know the cost of living there is terrible. I have to make the decision. Am I okay with staying here, or at least moving somewhere else that I would prefer to live until I can move to California? That's one option. It's a responsible option. Or am I just going to pick up everything and move to California and say, I'm going to struggle like every success story and sleep on people's couches or sleep in my car until they repossess it. And then there's that. I have that option also. Or I have the option of being a car salesman or figuring out a trade, doing that for a couple of months, making thousands of dollars, saving it, and then moving there. There are many options, but it's up to the individual's decisions to pretty much decide what they're going to do. So the parents are not fully to blame, but parents do have a part to play, but they don't want to blame themselves because they don't want to feel like failures. Because I mean, they're humans. No human wants to feel like a failure, especially when it's your child, somebody that you brought into this world and that you're responsible for until they die or until you die. They don't want to feel like a failure when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? But parents do have a part to play in that for sure, no matter what anybody says or thinks. But it's also the individual, and it's also the cost of living. And then work ethic does fall into that. And if you make all the wrong decisions, your work ethic is going to be poor. Because if you're just constantly making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, you're gonna be like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I phrased but that's why I said everything I said, because it's all relative. But you did make a great point. It is definitely the fucking cost of living, because California is too damn expensive.
It seems like every city is. That's why I'm like,
honestly,
but the problem is all the jobs, most of the jobs are in those city areas. Like the cost of living in Montana is cheap as mess. But what places in Montana? Nothing. So
that's what I'm saying. Like,
no offense to Montana state livers.
But yeah, man. Now I'm here in the wind, Jabari.
Dang, it probably moved away from my city.
Yeah, so I'm gonna step outside just so you can hear. Let me put my hat firmly on so it doesn't fall. Oh shit, it's raining.
Dang. Jeez, I hear that.
Yeah. And I live next to the highway also.
But
I forgot I left some slippers outside.
I think this was a quality, I mean, it's probably going to be multiple podcasts, but this is a quality run of podcast right there.
Heck yeah.
You kind of redeemed, I wouldn't say fully redeemed, but you kind of redeemed yourself from the mess that you did before.
No, you never answered it, because I just want to know. I don't want to have to wait until it airs. Did you hear me snoring, or did you just like ask for a response that I was quiet?
No, I heard you. You were full blown snoring, but I heard you like sleep breathing.
Because when I woke up, I was like, wait, did I fall asleep? And I looked at my phone, I said, oh, fuck. And then I looked at my messages and I saw that you texted me. I was like, oh, he's pissed. He's definitely pissed.
Because literally, I went, Jonathan, you still awake? You're like, yeah. So I went on for like 4 more sentences. I'm like, Jonathan? I hear. I'm like, I knew.
I was not. Yeah, man. I told you I was exhausted, but I did not expect to fall asleep because even when I'm exhausted, I can stay awake if necessary.
Yeah, but you were laying down. I told you if you lay down, you're going to fall asleep. That's just
Yeah,
how it
you told me
works.
to sit up, so I sat up and I
You laid back down.
But
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I know.
I did it. I will admit it is my fault solely because whenever we do a podcast, I am always at my dinner table. When we did that podcast, I sat on my couch and I said, I should be good here. And that's when everything just went to shit.
But at least now we have like probably podcasts all the way till probably late May. Well,
Wow.
3, 4, 5, like 5 weeks of podcasts.
Okay. Oh, so you're going to do them weekly. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, May is literally like a few weeks from now. So I don't know why I thought May was just like so far away.
That's the thing that annoys me. Literally last year, 2020 to now, just feels like a wasted year. It just doesn't even feel like it existed.
Yeah, we definitely need like our
life
life back. Like God really needs to be like, you know what? Or if there is a God, he needs to be like, you know what? Y'all can go ahead and get this year back in your life. Don't worry.
You get one extra year of life, like that truck that was gonna hit you tomorrow. Like, nope, not today.
I'll push that back. Next year, you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say. So ultimately, even though the cost of living now is like more than it was back then, and productivity back then was higher than it is now, there's always been a balance, to be honest. Because you could have gone out to get a miner job or a mining job back then, but you had to work long hours. It wasn't like you could work mining part time.
But
like,
I feel like the problem with the mining job, which is a little different because, you know, that's West Virginia. But like in West Virginia, these were like, you know, random towns in West Virginia that had mines. And now which is why that whole America First or Make America Great Again, why they're so passionate about it, is because those same towns now, they're nothing. They're literally nothing because the mines of like, you know, China or whatever, they're doing all the coal mining now. Yeah. So it's like now these people who had like generations of families working at the mines, and that was like their whole town's like income and all that. And then like the shopkeeper, he made money from the miners' money. The miners would go to the shop and pay. Mm-hmm. So now the shopkeeper gets money. The shopkeeper uses his money to go pay for a new house. So now the builders get money and all that. Like that whole economy just dropped dead now because, you know, the mines went dry, or, you know, no one wants American coal, smart coal anymore. So now those people, those America First type people, imagine that, like, you know, countrywide outside of cities, and they're just pissed. They're like, oh, my whole country abandoned us. Trump is the only person who cares.
So being that you said all that, I was literally about to say this. So for those that are listening, like I told you earlier, it sounds like you're a Trump supporter. So for those that are listening and wondering if you are a Trump, oh fuck,
dang, okay. Trump didn't like that. He didn't like you talking about.
My base is straight. So for those asking, are you a Trump supporter, Jabari?
No, of course not. But there is. I will say, as a non-Trump supporter and someone who hates Trump, there are some things he was technically right about. There are some things that there was a huge bias by the media. He was right, because there are some things that Biden does that's literally what Trump was doing just a couple months prior. And they're like, oh, wow, Biden is doing it all right. I'm like, what? Like, Trump was doing the same exact thing. There was something that Trump didn't change. And I mean, I know it's only 4 months in, but Biden didn't change either. Like those freaking the border situation with the kids and stuff, that's still happening. But they were all on Trump for that. And I'm like, Biden's not doing anything either. Maybe that's just out of their hands. But of course, there's that huge bias. So I will agree with that. There was a huge bias against Trump. And there's a very small minority of things. But there is a few things that he was right about. But, you know, trash person, trash president.
So let me ask you this. Completely unrelated. Back to the whole computer thing. Is the person replied, and I just want your knowledge regarding this. Yeah. So ask the person, because he said for music production, he said the 24 would be a better choice than the 20. Like pretty much the new Mac would be a better choice than the current Mac. And I asked him, like, you know, would he say that the M1 chip in the new one makes it better choice for music production for the rather than the current one? This was his response. The M1 processor is much more efficient than the Intel-based chips in the previous models. Basically, it can do more with less, and while costing less. I don't care about the cost.
Yeah, it's costing less, but the price of the thing is the same. Like, what?
Yeah. for instance, it was marketed with running 90 tracks of audio simultaneously in one of the recording softwares on the base model Mac Mini with the M1 chip, which is in the new Mac. The 27 Mac, there's no slump. However, he went for the M1 because it was the only desktop available at the time. But if he would have...
What I would say, because this guy just seems like he's an Apple shill, and he's just like, oh, the newest is the best, you got to get it. I would literally only say, if you can't afford to get the newest one, you might as well get the newest one. If you can't, and you're like, dang, like, I don't want to pay this much for the newest Mac. You don't need it. Like, literally, the last generation, probably the last 3 generations, will do you as well as any other. Like, maybe you won't be able to do 90 tracks of audio at the same time while still streaming it, like, in real time. But, I mean, that's not that big of a deal, I guess. Like, if you're using 90 tracks of audio, geez.
So let's just go through the prices real quick. I want you to hear this. So the new Mac, the highest model starts at 1700, right? Okay, starts at 1700. It won't even let me configure it. That's the thing though. So I can't configure it to see how much it would cost. But the Mac I customized and configured, the 27-inch, 2542. Well, I'm just rounding, 2543. That's how much I would be spending on this.
It better not be over 2,000.
You said what?
You better not be over 2,000.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm spending $2,543.
You better just get a regular PC at that point. There's no point for you to get a Mac just for $2,000, but you could get a PC that's freaking 10 times more powerful with cheaper parts. What is wrong with you? No. If you're spending more than $1,500 on any type of Apple product, you need to rethink everything and just get a freaking PC.
I don't like PCs, man. I really don't. Now, the max I can do, or the least, because I doubt I'd need like 1 terabyte worth of storage.
I mean, that's nice to have.
But it's not like 512 gigs is good enough storage.
Yeah, I mean, if you're literally only using it for music production, maybe a couple, like if you're downloading some game, like if you're
no games, mainly music production, and that's it.
Yeah, okay. Then yeah, that's way more than enough. 512.
Okay, so with that being said, 2200. That's fair.
That's so much. For what? For what?
16 gigs worth of RAM. Let me just tell you everything. 3.3 gigahertz, 6-core, 10th generation i5 processor. All right, 16 gigabytes of RAM, which I can update. I did read up on that. I can update the 16 gigs to 32 gigs or more if I wanted it with the memory.
Like normal, like that's okay.
Okay,
you don't need more than that.
Well, that's the thing. The only reason I was going to get 32 is because on the Pro Tools system, the Pro Tools system requirements, it said 32 is recommended. But I did read up on that and ask a couple people. They said they run theirs with like 8. So
yeah,
they can run theirs with 8, 16 is fine.
Basically, the RAM allows you to run multiple programs at once. If you're using 32 gigabytes of RAM, that means you have a file of music that is 32 gigabytes while you're running it. It's using up 32 gigabytes worth of assets. Like, that's crazy. That's unheard of.
Okay, so I don't need 32 gigs.
You do not need 32.
16.
That's ridiculous.
16 gigs of RAM. All right. And RAM is the same as memory, right?
No, RAM is basically when you're running the program, that's where it puts the RAM. So that's why I say it's like if you're running multiple programs. Like if I were running freaking, people will hate me for saying this as the example, but if I were running Microsoft Edge, I was playing a game, I would have a Word document open and all that. That would all be in the RAM. The RAM would be handling all that. The lower RAM you have, that means you might be only able to open Microsoft Edge and Windows Word. But if you have 16, you can open up the game. You can open up the music software at the same time, like all this stuff. Or at the same time, it allows like more stuff while you're running the program.
So does Mac not have RAM? Because it doesn't like say anything for it. It just says memory.
Yeah, the memory is RAM. Storage is the where you store all the files.
Gotcha. So 16 gigs worth of memory, which is RAM. That's good.
That's more than enough.
All right, 512 gigabytes worth of storage. That's fine.
That's fine.
You guess?
Yeah, I guess. Like depending on how much stuff you're storing. Like if 512 is enough for you, then that's enough for you. Like I'm not saying you need more.
I doubt I'll need 1 terabyte because that's like if I literally want to do multiple, like, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of stuff.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be the case.
Like, you're downloading games, you're downloading movies, you're downloading music, and you're have a bunch of different files from different programs and all that.
No, definitely not.
Then
All
500
right.
is enough.
Okay, then that's that. So yeah, 2200. Oh,
Yeah, what?
Wait.
No,
How did it...
no, no. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. There's not even a graphics card in that thing. It's just the freaking chip. Like, that's not worth it.
Jabari, I like Mac, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Get a freaking MacBook then. Get a MacBook.
Why a MacBook?
At least that gives you a reason to have it be that much. Because you could be like, oh, it's a portable laptop with a really good battery. The Mac is just a Mac. It's just a Mac. It's just a screen. Wait, yeah, I'm guessing you don't get a keyboard or mouse or anything. It's just the screen.
No, I did get a keyboard and mouse.
It's just the computer.
Yeah,
not
wait,
worth
do I
it.
get? Yeah, I get a Magic Mouse and a Magic Keyboard. So yeah,
It's not worth it.
and
Then get the
I get
new
an
one.
accessory
Get
kit.
the new one then. At least the new one is freaking. It seemed like it was only $1,400 when I saw the little.
Yeah,
keynote.
that's starting at 1400.
Yeah, what's it start with? What, 512 gigabytes?
Good question. Let's see.
If it starts with 16 gigabytes and more than 500 or around 500 gigabytes of storage, you better get that one because it's cheaper. There's no reason for you to get that other one.
All right, so it starts at 1700.
Oh,
Well, that's the highest one. So there is one that starts at 1499.
you know
right.
what? Just get the Mac, the mini Mac, whatever that mini Mac one.
See, look, because like the lower ones for the new one starts at 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Get the mini Mac, whatever
How
that
much
Mac.
is the Mac Mini?
Yeah, get the mini Mac. You don't need this freaking like the heck just for a screen.
What's the Mini Mac? Is that just like the?
It's basically just the PC or like the computer part. So it's smaller. You can hook up your own monitor. Save
I like
some money.
I like the Apple monitor.
For what? You're putting music. You're not doing photo editing or video editing. You don't need this.
You're right, but it's what I want.
You're trolling. For $1,700.
No, not for 1700. For 2200.
Just get a MacBook. Get a MacBook.
I don't want a laptop again.
The laptop's better.
No, I
At
prefer
least it's
desktop.
portable.
And then you'll have to like wait for it to charge and all
No,
that stuff.
you charge it and play it, and then if you want to move, you uncharge.
Or I could
And
always
bring the
buy.
charger with you. If you're
I could
really
always
afraid
buy
of running out
a
of
laptop.
battery.
I could always buy me another laptop in the future.
Something actually wrong with your brain. Something's wrong with your brain.
What is the problem?
You can get a PC that's 5 times more powerful, gets the graphics card and more storage and more powerful. You could do 2,000 tracks or whatever bullcrap, and it's cheaper. Or for the same price, you could get a monster beast of a computer where you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my decision. But hey, boy, I really appreciate
I
the
guess I'm
advice.
just going to kill you. So,
Why? Because I'm choosing Apple? I know you
No.
hate Apple.
no, I'm okay with Apple. I like their phones. I would have got a MacBook if they had a graphics card.
What do you need a graphics card for? It's not like you play games all the time.
I mean, I do play some games. I like games.
You're a hater.
Yeah, exactly. So, pay
Well, Jabari, I
2,000.
think...
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's gonna end now because I might have to, drive and kill you, literally.
Oh, but the good news is you got vaccinated, so we can hang out now.
True.
You're more than welcome over to my place. Just leave all the weapons at home.
Dang, we could do an in-person podcast one day.
Oh, we can. That'll be awesome. And then we'll be able to... So do you want to tell your viewers the name of the EP that you'll be making before you move to Hong Kong?
Oh, Big Boy Jabeezus and Danny Smith. It's Apple.
Imagine, like, this is, of course, best case scenario. But imagine right before you go to Hong Kong, and you already paid for everything, and your your EP blows up, and you get a record deal. For like $20 million. I'm going to say you better tell them that I produced it.
No, I'm like, yeah, it took a while, but I did it all.
I'm like, no! You're at the business meeting. You just hear like some footsteps running down the hall. I hate you.
You're in the wrong building. I'm still in Hong Kong. I look on the news. Yeah, local boy Deontay just stole a plane. Apparently, he's trying to fly 24 hours to get to Hong Kong. But he's going down fast.
As soon as the plane starts like to run out of fuel, you just like hear me say, "I hate you, Jabari," and then I just nosedive. I just realized you didn't do the you didn't do the intro.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I just thought of that. Because I was gonna do that as an outro.
Well, goodbye. This is Sports Wisdom, man. No, we're going to be talking about you. We're talking to you today, one day, but not now.
What?
There we go. I guess we talk again one day.
We will talk again next Tuesday.
Oh.
Hey, I'm going to be driving to Kentucky tomorrow. That's a 10 to 11 to 12 hour drive. So if you want to make another podcast, please. I would be so delighted.
Maybe, but that depends. But
oh my God.
I will talk to you when I talk to you.
All right.
See you.